Welcome back to Real Disc Golf Simulation. If you watched my video from 2 weeks ago, you learned that we got this new Roc3 TechDisc in the mail from TechDisc. They sent this out to me. Must have watched the channel, really liked the content that they were seeing. But this disc is going to lead to all sorts of videos. The first one of them today is going to be figuring out the actual flight numbers for this disc. Now, we did this with the Destroyer, and what we learned is that the flight numbers that come from the manufacturer are nowhere near the flight numbers of the actual disc. So we're going to use TechDisc's technology to figure out what the flight numbers for this disc actually should be. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to head out to the field. We're going to make about 10 throws with this disc out in the field, and then we'll take that data and manipulate it inside the simulator to make the flight in the simulator match the flight that happened in real life. So we're going to head out to the field and we're going to get this started. All right, so here we go. We got our field all set up and ready to throw. We got the Roc3 in our hand. The basket is right around 250 feet from me. There's the first throw, pretty straight, off to the right a little bit, turned it over just a hair. If you guys didn't watch our last video on this topic, the way that we do this is I'm actually going to hand measure each one of these throws. So we're not using U-disc measurements, we're not estimating anything like that. I have a physical tape measure, 100-foot tape out there on the ground. I'm going to measure how far that disc went. I have a center line, so I'm measuring how far it actually went on the center line and then how far off the center line it is to figure out the exact distance. We're taking and uploading that data into a spreadsheet. You can see there I picked up that line, and I'm going to hand measure this. Anyways, I'm going to plug all of that information in. We're also going to watch the throw inside of the TechDisc simulator, which I'll get loaded up in just a second here. And then we're going to manipulate the flight numbers to get that same distance throw in the simulator that happened in real life. So that throw actually ended up going 287 feet. And now we'll jump over into the TechDisc simulator, and we have that throw loaded up here already. So we can see that I have loaded in right now the stock flight numbers for a Roc3, so 5, 4, -2, and I did weigh my Roc3 and the weight came in at 179 grams. So since that's a known factor, we're going to load that in. We're going to go ahead and hit simulate throw, and as it does that, you'll see that the disc did get a little bit of a right-hand turn, and we got 324 feet out of it. So considerably further than the 287 feet that we got in real life. So let's start trying to modify these flight numbers and see if we can't get this disc to fly a little bit shorter. So we're looking for 287. I'm going to start with the speed and just say it's a little bit slower. Let's say this is more like a traditional Roc instead of a Roc3, which is how I would prefer it to fly. Okay, and by getting rid of that, we got a little bit more right-hand turn out of it, which we do know that this went to the right, and a distance of 310 feet. So we're a little bit closer to what we're looking for. The next number I'm going to modify here is I'm going to do the glide. Because the turn seems about right? We're getting a little bit of right turn. In fact, the turn might need to be turned up a little bit more, or I should say down, I guess, to get a little bit more right-hand turn out of it. But by doing that, we would probably end up with more distance. So let's go ahead, glide at 3.5. Let's see where this ends up going. We see it's tracking shorter, which is good. It did not get as much right on it that time, and we ended up with the exact same distance. So let's go down even more to a 3, and then let's just up turn. So we want this to turn over a little bit more. So let's go like that. All right, there we go. We did get the right turn we're looking for. That's 301. So we still need to knock off about 14 more feet here. I'm going to take the speed down a little bit more. All right, there we go. We got 292. I'm going to make glide 2.9 now. Huh. That's weird. So you used to be able to plug in whatever numbers you wanted to here. So it looks like they did some type of update or change where now the only thing you can go with is the pre-selected values. All right, so I messed around with it a little bit. It does look like they did an update, and now you cannot modify these values to be whatever you want them to be. So we can't do like a glide of 3.2 anymore. It's sticking with you know, 3.5, stuff like that. So that's going to make this a little bit more interesting. I don't know if we're going to get the numbers as exact as I'd like them to at this point, but we'll keep playing with it and we'll see what we can come up with. Maybe we'll still get close. We'll throw this one. We got glide at 2.5. And there we go. We're still getting a little bit too much distance out of this. I'm going to knock speed down to 3. And there we got a good amount of right-hand turn, 282. And I actually feel like we might need just a little bit more turn, and that might get us the little bit more distance that we need. I really think it's going to be hard to dial these numbers in as exactly as what we had in the past with this new limitation that we have here. So this is going to be a little bit rougher. By going up to 2.3, we lost some distance there, but that might be more accurate. Let's up the speed again, because that did go right on that first one. 287. So there we go. We have the numbers at 3.5, 2.5, 2.3. We've done that for the first throw now. We're going to do it for all the rest of them. All right, so here we go. Second throw in real life. We'll try and correct that right turn a little bit and get a little bit straighter. That one headed at the basket. It gets caught up in the tree, which now that I think about it is going to make it interesting from a distance perspective and trying to figure that out in TechDisc. So I got that throw loaded up here. That throw ended up going 263 feet. In real life, TechDisc said it went 318. So again, we're going to try and modify these numbers until we get to a distance that we actually like from it. I wonder if they have, do they have a button for hit tree and lost a significant amount of distance on here? I don't know. Anyways, we'll go ahead and simulate this throw. We do have, once again, the standard rock numbers in there. So we'll go ahead and modify from there to try and get it down. We'll go down to speed of 3.5. We'll do the glide was lower generally and the turn a little bit higher. And let's just see what we get with that. .306. So we want it to be even, shorter. And this one was pretty well straight on, so it's showing it hyzering out a little bit. I think we'll want to add a little bit more turn to it. There we have 305, but much straighter. So let's knock the glide down a little bit more. .297, and we'll do up the turn a little bit. It's still showing hyzering out just a little bit. And that's considerably straighter. 298, which could be a reality with how that got into the tree. I think it's still just a little bit long there, though. But I don't think we're going to be able to modify anything more than that. Maybe we're going to throw this one out of the data set. But there, we ended up with about a 3, 2, -2.5. So we'll put that one in there, and then I'll decide later if I want to keep that or not. All right, so I'm skipping ahead a little bit. You guys get the idea of this, though. Here we are at throw 7. I'm still trying to miss the tree, which is a little bit difficult when you're throwing at a basket because, man, you really want to throw at the basket and it's right underneath the tree, but we don't really want to hit the basket or the tree. So, all right, so that one went 245 in real life. We're going to go ahead and simulate it. TechDisc is saying that it went 261 feet. So very similar. You do see the hyzer out there. We're going to try and keep that, but lower that distance. So we want to go from 260 to right about 245. So I'm going to do a little bit less speed, a little bit less glide. I'm going to leave the turn alone this time. Let's see how this looks. Okay, we got it down to 258. So let's go a little bit lower on the speed. $257. Let's lower the glide as well. All right, here we go. 256. Boy, it really wants to keep the same flight pattern. Let's make it a little bit more stable. I don't think it dumped out quite that hard, so but that's still over, so that's 253. So I'm going to put this back at -2, and then I'm going to go even slower. $255. Let's decrease the glide more. I think this one might be it. 254. Wow. It's still getting more distance than we need it to. I think we should be able to get it closer than this. 253. One foot at a time. $252. I mean, there's no way that this thing is like a speed 2.5, right? I'm not sure what we could really do to get this closer at this point. I mean, the turn seems about right. The flight pattern seems about right, but nothing we do is getting the distance down to what we need it to be. So I don't know, we might have to throw this one out of the data as well, just because it doesn't seem accurate. I'm gonna put it in there anyways, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the numbers. All right, here we go. We got the 8th shot loaded up here. Really trying to get some good data here so that we can figure out this disc's flight numbers. Here we go. Here's the rip. Oh, that's looking good. That's headed right at it. Oh, it's in. An ace. I was a little bit confused what to do there for a second because, like I've said, at this point, I'm not trying to hit the basket. I'm trying to just sort of miss it and go underneath the tree so that we get all the data. But hey, we'll take a hole in 1, or I guess this is throw 8, so a hole in 8. But that's pretty cool. We got that on camera and got the data from it on the TechDisc. All right, we got this one loaded up in the tech disc. I guess this is one that we're going to have to throw out as well because we know that that went 250 in real life, but tech disc says it went 292. We could estimate what we think it really did, but I guess probably not necessarily worth it to try and figure that one out. We'll skip on to throws 9 and 10. I'll get those in there, and then we'll have the results. All right, so here we go. Here is throw number 10. So the last one, we had a little bit of excitement here. We're going to try and get this one just as close as we can, CTP style. And that is a laser right at it. That's going to be by far the straightest one. We'll jump over into the TechDisc simulator. TechDisc said that that one went 285 feet. In real life, it went 252 feet. And TechDisc is showing it going just a little bit more left than I really think that it ended up doing. But it's not all that far off. So let's start by decreasing the glide here a little bit and see if we can't knock some distance off. Let's decrease the speed by the same amount, and let's see. We don't want to change too much, but again, we know we got to get it to fly shorter. Okay, so there we got it down to 275. Let's go a little bit less on speed, a little bit less on glide. And that thing is just straighter than all get out. So that went 269. Still a little bit too far for us. Let's decrease both of those again by 1, and then let's go ahead, and I think it finished straight. It really didn't turn back to the left all that much. So I'm going to give it just a little bit less turn as well here. $261. We can take a little bit more off of it. And there we go. We got 251. Again, I don't think we're going to get closer than that. So that is 2.5, 1.5, negative 2.1. And that got us to 251 feet. Okay, so here are the numbers after crunching all of that data. It says that this disc should have a speed of 3.3, a glide of 2.6, and a turn of negative 2.2. What I want to go ahead and do, though, is just strike out these ones that seemed like anomalies. So 2 and 8, we ended up hitting stuff. Number 8, we hit the basket, which always nice. And then number 7, I just couldn't get the numbers to what we really wanted them to be. So that would give us a average of a speed of 3.5, a glide of 2.8, and a turn of negative 2.2. So those would be the numbers for this tech disc. If what the change has been made is accurate, glide would have to end up being 3 in the system as opposed to the 2.8, because we can't put in 2.8 for speed or glide anymore. You have to use either 3 or 2.5. So those are the flight numbers. Thanks so much for watching.